Hello, welcome back. Today we have some vintage kitchen gadgets to get our normals to have a little look at and decide whether they are built to last or best left in the past. Boys, you ready?
Yes! Love it. Love a history lesson.
Your first vintage gadget is under the cloche. Have a look.
Please.
Me?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Food or surgery? Medieval extraction device.
Yeah. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to put it up there.
Of course you did. It's robust. Obviously, it's metal.
It's also got, you know, on a vegetable peeler, you've got the little potato eye
remover.
That feels like that.
I have no idea, and I'm not going to waste any more of our time pretending like I'm going to get there.
In that case, I can reveal to you that these are used to portion your sugar. They are sugar nippers.
You've got Ben's nips in your hand.
Correct. They are.
It's sugar nips.
I bought them, so they are my nips. Would you like to see the sugar?
Yeah, but I'd like to find out how to use them.
Listen, yeah. Right.
We are talking long enough ago where granulated sugar or even sugar cubes, as we know them, weren't commonplace. What you had were big chunks and hunks and sometimes cones of unrefined cane sugar.
Excellent, because you can't really pick up granulated sugar with this.
No.
No.
Essentially, you can use it to apply pressure and nip off chunks of sugar.
I've nipped some sugar.
And then you can put that in your tea or coffee. Coffee houses were really popular in London in kind of the 17th century. These nippers were kind of 17th, 18th century. However, if you wanted something finer, you could pound those smaller chunks into a fine, as we would more recognise it, granulated or even powdered sugar.
It works really well in terms of getting the sugar into smaller pieces. What it doesn't do is give you a defined amount. It's not like you're going to say, let me give you one nip, because one nip from here is a different amount from one nip from here. I've got different nips.
Yeah, but what? Hang on. What's the point that you're trying to make here? Is that this wouldn't be an effective metric system?
Well, it's not like a teaspoon, is it?
Well, no.
No, but you're kind of right, because eventually these were replaced by sugar tongs that you would have used to pick up sugar cubes, which were pre-measured out for you. A sugar cube would do the job, or a teaspoon of sugar.
Ben, why did we end up with sugar cones and sugar cubes? Because you can't make sugar cubes from sugar cones without making waste.
Production methods change. So remember, this is a time when this cane sugar would have come across the Atlantic from the plantations in and around the Caribbean, Latin America, and it was essentially more efficient to transport it like that because that had a lower price, so it would then be brought to Britain. Britain would then refine it and then could sell it for more. Plus, if you refined it at the other end and brought it across, it'd get damp on the boats. Big vats of workers who were often enslaved were reducing cane sugar down, or cane juice down, to this thick molasses that's then poured into moulds that they would cool. They would take them out of the moulds and then they would transport them around the world like that. Another word for that, which is kind of panela, would be something like jaggery. Very similar from the other side of the world. Again, the reduction of cane sugar.
Wasn't a lot of sugar refined like a couple miles down the road from the Thames?
Yeah.
Tate and Lyle.
Straight in off the boat, so on the Docklands, Tate and Lyle. Panela is a word that we're seeing cropping up on more and more menus. So you get like panela creme brulees, panela ice creams, because you have that richer flavour.
Rich brown
It's
sugar
almost
flavour.
a replacement for sort of Demerara, which was popular like 20 years ago, and everything was like, use Demerara sugar with that slightly richer flavour. This is another sort of take on that.
Do you know what I love? I love a muscovado.
Oh.
That's good for cookies.
I'll be honest, I didn't realise Demerara had gone out of fashion.
Well, it hasn't gone out of fashion, but you wouldn't see it on menus as much anymore, whereas it would have been at the time. It was, a statement piece. It wasn't just sugar, it was Demerara sugar.
What you've done there is like sitting down with my dad going, do people not say cool anymore?
So, for this particular antique kitchen gadget, I paid £15.50, more for interest's sake, but the important question, built to last or best left in the past?
Definitely built for last, definitely worked, did a fantastic job. Clearly, technology's advanced, so we don't need this because it was brand new to us. Best left in the past, but not through any fault of its own.
You took the words right out of my mouth. It works, it does a really good job, we just don't need the job that it does.
I took the words right out of his mouth and the panela right out of his cup.
Number 2, lift the vintage cloche to reveal the antique gadget.
Oh, we're sticking with the theme.
Goodness me, boys.
We've got to move away from putting things inside. I'm not saying research-wise, I'm just saying mind-wise.
Oh, right. Do what you want.
Don't sniff
Doesn't
it.
bother. Which end did you sniff?
That bit.
Why would you... Never mind.
Well, I was
Fine.
checking.
No, it's fine.
It's almost like a cog mechanism.
It feels like
Yeah, pounder, but
yeah.
like a pestle or a mortar.
No, like a muddler. I was going to say like
Oh,
a
a
muddler,
muddler.
like a cocktail muddler. But why
Yeah,
would
that-
you have rings?
Yeah, and why would they not go anywhere? Like, oh.
Now, this isn't necessarily an antique version of this. It is one made more recently, but in a similar style and doing a similar job to an antique kitchen gadget.
If you were to roll it across pastry, like flattened pastry, what would that do? It would give you
Patterns.
patterns. That doesn't feel like...
So in the same way that sort of docking would.
And also that would have two handles, wouldn't it? You'd use it like that.
I'm going to put you out of your misery. This is a Mexican hot chocolate frother.
Well, there's no chance we're going to get that. Ignorant question. Is Mexican hot chocolate different to any other hot chocolate in another country?
Some would say it's where it started.
Ah.
So it would have been the Mayans who had cocoa beans. In fact, they used cocoa beans as like a currency even. They believed it was a gift from the gods because this wonderful thing came of it when mixed with water, often some spice, and that was the Mexican hot chocolate. It was later that we would add dairy to it with sort of Spanish influence. They found a love of chocolate and brought it back and added in the dairy that the Spanish took to Mexico.
That's why this is hollow.
Yeah.
And obviously
You're
the
gonna
shape of it, you're going to get all that aeration, aren't you, when you spin it?
Would you like to give it a go?
Yeah.
So we would probably always associate hot chocolate with the origins of the UK and Cadbury and that kind of 2.5 cups of milk and that very rich
dairy.
milk hot chocolate. But traditionally it would have been water. And because cocoa has some fairly insoluble fats in it, mixing cocoa into water and heating it is quite difficult, which is why you need to constantly agitate it, which is why this is a useful gadget. Heat the water up, add in the chocolate, and as it's coming up to a heat, you start to do the motion, which is the frother in the liquid and then the hands rubbing between. If you want to add in a little bit of your panela, a little pinch of chili and a cinnamon stick, you can. Depends on how sweet you like it.
So traditionally, they would add a little bit of spice.
All sorts of different spices.
Great.
If you think about even the likes of mole sauces, which are made with a lot of chocolate and nuts and seeds, they would have a mixture of spices as well. But chocolate is a key ingredient in that. Start going. And my Spanish is terrible, but it's called a molinillo.
Molinillo.
Or it might have that double L at the end, which means it's a molinillo.
Molinillo.
It literally means a little mill. So interestingly, it is a Mexican hot chocolate frother, but it's thought to have
That's some
been
good techers.
kind of invented by the Spanish when they moved across and found a love of the chocolate drinks they had and created this to make their lives easier. And prior to the invention of this tool, it would actually have been frothed just by passing it from one vessel to another. So actually, if you think about like chai walla, when in places like India, when you see them moving the chai, that is to froth that amazing sort of spiced, sweetened milk mixture as it boils, and they pass it from cup to cup or vessel to vessel, pan to pan.
It gets a bit hot on the hands as the steam rises. Yeah, interestingly enough, up until recently, that had bits in it, and you could see the grain. Now, it's completely dissolved, and I guess that's those stubborn fats dissolving, which I wish would work on my...
Yes, I need some of that.
So watching my nan eat soup.
I feel like I could have frothed it more, but the fact is it's dissolved. Let's see if it's delicious.
Cheers.
Cheers. It is in fact delicious.
That is in fact delicious. The cinnamon in that.
Yeah, and the
It's
spice.
great.
Oh, I put some in the dregs of my coffee, that's lovely.
Oh, nice.
Made a mocha.
That was also 80% cocoa, a little bit of sugar, but by making it with the water rather than milk, you know, at the time it was considered a health drink because of all of the antioxidants and the polyphenols of chocolate and cocoa.
Yeah.
You can add in some spice. It's actually a pretty healthy drink, however you want to define healthy, but it's not laden with sugar and dairy fat and the alike.
Interesting.
And bearing in mind, we've made this in a saucepan, but traditionally the hot chocolate would be made in a jarro, which is a jug, so it is taller and thinner, so you want something that goes the whole length of it, and you haven't necessarily got the movement to whisk, but you have got the movement to this.
This is great.
What was the whisk
interpretive
movement?
dance.
Right.
Well, if you're holding the whisk, it's in the jug. You've not got much movement.
That's
in it.
what he does
But you
to
could do that.
call his butler as well.
Can we just put a little bell noise on there? But chefs don't whisk up there. Whisk how a chef whisks. Exactly.
You can't even see it.
Always whisk with a straight arm. In a jug, you can see how that would make a lot more sense, perhaps, than in a pan.
Oh, he's got the techers now.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's what you couldn't really see in the pan. I like it.
So I actually bought this one in the UK, even though I saw it in a museum of chocolate in Mexico. £19.99. Built to last, or best left in the past?
I mean, it's a very ornate product. We don't need them now because we have whisks which can be multi-purpose. I really love it, but it feels like it's stuck in the past for me. We don't need it today, but I think it's great.
I think it works then, and I still think it works now. So I think it's built to last.
I think with all these things, it's what you're used to, because they're very much still used today in Mexico.
So you're wrong.
Right, let's do number 3. Do you want to do another one?
Yes, please. I love these videos. I love these videos. That is a teacup, Ebbers,
It is a teacup.
with a mouth guard in it.
Read what it says on the teacup.
I know. Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to read it, but I know exactly what that is for. That is to stop getting liquid on your moustache.
No
What's
way.
it say on it? What's it say on it?
Love the giver.
Love the giver.
I didn't realise that. I didn't actually look at that.
That is 100% that,
Is that
isn't
really
it?
what that is?
That's to stop getting tea, coffee, milk, whatever, on someone with a moustache.
That is a moustache cup. This is the perfect solution to keep your moustache frothless and dry.
It fits perfectly, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
It's how have they
Wow.
managed that?
Remember, there was an era when many a gentleman would have an excellently crafted moustache that would also be waxed. The last thing you want is the steam or heat from your hot beverage or the froth to melt the wax and for your moustache to go droopy.
Well, I mean,
Would you like some frothy hot beverage?
let's try it. Oh, I'm glad that we're doing a full scientific test.
Do you want to look like James? That does.
It's just the tash we need.
It's one for Ebbers,
Oh yes.
one for Ed, there's one for Dom. So
There's
we
one
can
for
have them.
Ishi. Yep.
I tried really hard and it grew quite quickly.
Well done. There is adequate froth on our hot chocolate from previous.
Try your moustache cup.
You go first.
This is very dry. This is the science part, isn't it?
Yeah.
So dry. Cheers.
Hold it. Okay, visibly there's no.
It's bone dry.
I went big for a proper test.
You did go big.
How are we doing?
I mean, it looks dry. Your moustache is quite low, I would say.
That is dry.
That is dry.
Yours is really dry.
Yeah.
This antique kitchen gadget does its job.
It's brilliant.
It really does.
Now, bear in mind, it's thought to have been invented in the 1870s by a British potter.
Invented.
But then fell out of fashion in the early 1900s when the moustache fell out of fashion. In fact, it was even...
Yours looks like it's about to fall off.
I think mine's about to fall way out of fashion. It's way onto the floor. You got to remember that even the army said that from 1860 to 1916, that hair of the head will be kept short, the chin and underlip will be shaved, but not the upper lip. So it was compulsory to have a moustache in the army at this time. You can see why the moustache cup was so critical. You guys have won because I've been drinking my hot beverage out of a non-moustache cup and it's melted the wax stroke glue that stuck this to my face.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, I like it. I feel like a moustache like this makes you look even more happy when you smile. Smile? Oh gosh, no. Restraining order.
So yes, I paid just £4 for this particular moustache cup and saucer.
I might argue that that's the best £4 that's ever been spent at Sorted.
I think you might be right.
Except for our first pay packet.
I do have to question the drawings on the side and the love the giver.
Always
writing.
love the giver. The question is though, if the tash is back
Amazing.
in fash, then is this best left in the past or built to last?
Built to last.
Best
100%.
thing we've seen for ages.
Yeah.
Thought you'd like that. Do you want one more?
Yes, please.
Can we keep these on?
Let's shave.
Okay.
Do you think by lifting the cloche we're going to see any more of this?
Not the best hidden, but we have a format.
Can't wait for the reveal.
Thanks, Evers. It's a horizontal harp.
Oh,
it needs some tuning. Yeah.
You think you can play Enter Sandman on it?
Yeah, I think you can. Hush, little baby, don't say a word.
Turn it over.
Oh, traditional cheese. Oh, okay, it's a lot thinner. So, some sort of pushy through, falls down, but it's got to be pasta, right? Put a sheet of pasta over, push it, strips.
How are you gonna, no.
And then tagliatelle,
linguine.
and then linguine. Done.
This is a chitarra, which is Italian for guitar, and it is a pasta cutter.
Oh, there we go.
So ideal for creating perfect strips of pasta from one rolled out sheet. Plenty of flour or polenta so it doesn't stick, and then roll it out and it should give you perfect slices.
It's a pasta guitar.
It's a pasta guitar.
When's this from?
This dates back to pre-1800s and originally from Teramo. So we're talking, if you think about the leg and the heel and the toe of Italy, it's the bottom of the calf on the back of the leg.
Okay.
That kind of area, and it's traditionally from there, and we're talking pre-1800s.
But
Wow.
I knew exactly where he
Yes,
meant.
so did I.
So, yeah, well done. Nice.
Would you like to give it a go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Flour
I assume
me up, Scotty.
dusting of flour. Oh, we're ruining a lasagna. I like it. I might have to stand for this because I want to do this justice. Okay, here we go.
The right amount of pressure to push it through. Might take a couple of rolls, not so much that you break a string. You can, of course, tighten them, so just like a guitar, and the strings will tighten.
It's going through. Oh, yeah.
Am I in?
You've got a couple that are going through.
This is great. This is really fun to do. You actually need the give on the strings for it to have enough slack to be able to wobble out.
And then tilt them towards you.
Oh,
In theory, what you have.
Mate,
look at that.
that can only be described as uniform.
So nowadays, if you're making a fine strand of pasta like linguine, you can choose to roll up your sheets and cut it with a knife. Many pasta rollers have extruders through them too that will cut, or rather cutters and extruders. But this is traditionally how it could have been done. And it's thought that chitarra pasta has kind of rougher edges because of the way it's cut, and therefore pasta sauce clings to it better.
Oh, I love it when they start saying little things like that.
What's weird is I don't know what I need to do to. Oh,
Wow, you found a new
I
technique.
found a Techers.
What you end up with is a perfect portion
Brilliant.
of pasta. You can then kind of, but kind of loop up that strand into one ball, and it is ready to go into rapidly boiling salted water.
I mean, it's simple and effective.
Now you've cut your pasta, do you want to make a quick bowl of carbonara, and then let's chat.
Sure.
If we have to, get the cream out.
Let's speed through. Oh, we have got cream. Right, we are not making a carbonara.
Because there is cream.
There's no egg, and we've been
is
given cream, but we're making a creamy, cheesy pasta with some garlic
Add some pancetta,
and some pancetta. Lovely.
which we also know is not carbonara.
No.
That would be guanciale. So it's definitely not carbonara.
Good.
It's definitely going to be delicious. Let's crack on.
What a cute little pile of pasta.
It is, yeah. Cheers. That is so perfectly al dente.
It is.
Well done us. That's delicious. The pasta is uniform. It looks spectacular, even though we made it.
So it is still used in many Italian regions today. The amazing pasta book that we had from Matteo last year has got a couple of pages where he uses exactly that. And that's kind of what inspired us to check it out and try it for real. So it cost us £68, brand new. So it's not an antique version, it's a brand new version of it, but it is an antique kitchen gadget that dates back pre-1800s. The question, boys, built to last or best left in the past?
Can I ask one question before answering that question?
Yes.
Has this in any way been modernised since the original form?
Don't know, very possibly made from different woods now.
Yeah.
That are perhaps lighter and easier to transport and
Cheaper.
distribute and cheaper to make. And I suppose it's possible that the strings have changed as well, so they're now better suited to not rusting.
Which actually means it's even more built to last, I would say. And it works and it's great. That's my opinion.
100% built to last. That is great. I love that.
Nice, over to you guys. Of those 4 antique gadgets, did you know any of them? Do you still use any of them where you are in the world? And comment down below if there's a bunch of gadgets that we haven't yet tried.
Yes, please.
We need a bunch.